Let's talk anime. Hello and welcome to Brandon's Discuss Anime, a 15 plus Reckless Amoeba podcast. Today might be extra 15 plus due to the language we may be using. Uh, and it's a very literal Brandon's Discuss Anime due to us talking about season 2 of The Promised Neverland. Brandon and I are going to really tear this shit apart. And with me is my co-host, Brandon Falinger.
Can I just not? Can we just not? I just want to leave. I don't want to talk about. I want to pretend it doesn't exist. I want to pretend it never happened.
As we were talking a few minutes ago, you said I sounded more depressed than angry at this.
Compared to what the messages I was getting during this week, yes, during this week you sounded far more angry. Before starting, you sounded depressed, and I'm like, no, there shouldn't be depression here. There should be all rage,
But
all anger.
But season 1 was amazing, and it's like they ruined it. But
That's why you should be angry, not depressed.
but as usual, banter just a little bit. So I was telling Orion yesterday as I was leaving work that I made mochi for New Year's.
You shot some pictures and sent
Yeah,
them
yeah,
along.
it turned out really, really good. Except I forgot to refrigerate it because I went out to get some a few days ago, maybe like the 10th, and it was getting moldy. So,
How long did that last then?
maybe 10 days, but if I would have
Without refrigeration?
with well, I didn't check on it from like the 4th to the 10th.
Mm-hmm.
So next time I will definitely refrigerate it because
I was curious how bland it would be without any kind of filling.
I just added sugar to it, so it had a mild sweetness to it, so it was really good.
Okay.
So maybe when we go to the Asian market again, I will direct you and Orion to the Mochiko rice flour so you could potentially make it. It's relatively easy, just hot water, sugar, mochi flour for the basic stuff.
So when you would add flavor to it, right? Like let's just say not a filling, but a
Uh
flavor.
huh.
Would you like just add say like fruit juice or something?
Maybe take out some of the water and replace it with fruit juice.
Okay.
Yeah, like you were saying, add a few drops of vanilla extract. And
Yeah,
that,
give a little vanilla flavoring.
But next time I am probably going to make some Anko at the same time so I have some red bean filling for some. Or maybe a entire strawberry.
Ooh, fancy.
Oh, I think that's like Ichigo Daifuku? I think that's what it's called. I'm not sure.
I know I've heard the term. I don't remember exactly what it means.
Mm. Yeah. So, anything going on with you?
Um, Playing Digimon Cyber Sleuth, still in the grind phase, not really getting anywhere in that other than just powering things up. Um, I have figured out a faster way to grind because I decided like this feels like it's taking too long. Is there a faster way? Apparently, you can get Platinum Sukamon, who has an innate ability to increase the XP gained as long as he's the one on the field at the end of battle.
Hmm.
So there's that, and apparently you can get some equip items for him that further increase XP gain.
For your entire party?
I believe so. So I've got it set up where like the bank is gonna start churning out because the bank has like two things. Like you have your bank, and then you have like your digital farm. And at this point, I have three digital farm islands, which hold 10 Digimon apiece.
Okay.
So kind of like the old version of the Pokemon Day Hero, they'll like level up and grow in there. But you can also tell them to do a couple of other things. You can tell them to train, which will speed that up, from my understanding. You can tell them to make items, and depending on the money you invest, there's a chance it'll be whatever that amount is. I think it's like 100 yen, 1,000 yen, and I think 10,000 yen. And you probably get like a pool of items based on whatever that investment is.
So it's not like Digi-Yen or any like made up currency.
Well, no, because you're in the real world for the most part.
Ah, okay, okay, okay.
You kind of pop into like this. I guess you could call it like a VR world. But the way they explain it is like, man, we've digitized your mental brain, like your brain data, so that way you can walk around in here.
Oh,
And because of that, it's kind of causing shit with the digital world. And now, literally, there's gonna be war, or at least the attempt of it.
because I know depending on the iteration, most of the time is spent in the digital world or the real world. So,
This one's more the real world. We haven't even gotten into the. I lie. I think there was one scene where we were in the digital world.
because Adventure Zero Two, no, Adventure was mostly the digital world. O
hmm
two was kind of split.
hmm
Tamers was mostly real world, digital world.
Actually, Tamers was kind of balanced too. Tamers
Oh,
was mostly real world in like the first season. I think the second season is when they start dropping into the digital world and exploring it.
Tamers had 2 seasons?
Tamers had 3 seasons, if I recall right.
I thought that, like, oh,
If not, then I'm thinking of like arcs. Then, if not
okay,
seasons.
because I would consider that Adventure was 1 season, Zero Two was another season.
Yeah, okay, then let's go with arcs then, if that's what we're gonna define it by. It had like 3 arcs.
Okay,
One in the real, one in the digital, and then one that was like a weird fusion of the two worlds merging, from what I recall.
okay.
But then you have Frontier, which is your season 4, which was pretty much all digital world except for like the last couple episodes.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, this one is mostly digital world, mostly the real world. You drop into like the cyber world that humans have created, and Digimon are kind of like finding their way into that, which is leading to your wild encounters essentially.
Oh.
I think there has been one scene where we were in the digital world, and even then I'm not 100% sure because all we have is question marks to tell us where we're at. It
Huh.
never revealed where we were. I
Huh.
assume at some point we'll go there. I just don't know for how long or in what capacity. But yeah, it's mostly Grindfest right now. Soon I shall have my Digimon harem.
What?
What? My
Did you...
plan is to get all the female Digimon together and just have a harem as my team.
That sounds wrong, phrasing it that way.
I find it funny. That's why I'm doing it. So I can say that. I don't know if that'll actually end up being the final setup, but there specifically I want to get the Mastamon, the fusion of Angelomon and Lady Devamon. Um,
When we bring this up again, Ryan will be so damn confused.
I am also working toward like actually it's funny because I was doing this at the same time as I was trying to get them. I'm trying to get like Paildramon and shit from 02,
Okay.
and I'm just sitting there like I've literally now, because of the way I'm grinding through the offline Coliseum, I've scanned myself a Paildramon at this point. Because the final one that you have to lose on is like the 3 DNA Digivolutions of the 02 kids. So you're sitting there with the fucking statue that Angemon and Ankylomon become. I forget what its name is. Shikakumon, I think, maybe.
Okay.
Paildramon in the center and Sylphimon on the side. So it's like, hey, cool, the 3 DNA Digivolves are here from 02. Great. I've scanned the one I was halfway trying to get anyway. Although
Hmm.
I'm guessing, I haven't looked this up specifically, but it looks like there's a reverse version of Paildramon, which is weird.
Huh.
It's the same two Digimon, but they fused slightly differently. Like, let me see here. Actually, hold on. Let me see if I can pull it up. Because it'll take me like 2 seconds. Alright, let's pop up XVmon on the chart. Oh, yeah, there is. Okay, that is a dumb name for him though. Alright, so here, just so I'll refresh your memory, I'm gonna send you a shot of Paildramon there. And then I'm gonna send you a shot of the reverse version. And by reverse, I mean almost literally, because it looks like they just swapped out the body parts on this. So the parts that were Stingmon are now
Huh.
XVmon. What do you become anyway? Still becomes Imperial Dramon.
I like Dino Beamon a bit better.
He looks weird though. Since I've scanned a Pyeldramon, I might just make this one instead because it seems like the prerequisites to make him are essentially the same. So I might just go this one and then go to Pyeldramon because the end result will be the same.
But enough
Anyway,
about. Yeah,
yeah,
but.
yeah. Anyway,
Oh,
enough Digimon. All
yeah.
right, we need to be upset about things.
Season 2 of The Promised Neverland.
It should be never that we watched this.
Okay, do you want to guess how many chapters they covered in season 1?
I'm gonna guess around 40 to 50.
A little bit less, 38. Do
Okay, I
you,
was pretty close.
yeah, do you want to guess how many chapters they covered in season 2?
Considering how many gaps it feels like there are, I'm gonna say like 100 something.
About 120.
All right, well, that explains a lot. Because holy fuck,
Well,
how
wait,
much of that is the very end? Is what I want to ask.
wait, no. Because of some of the gaps, okay, maybe it's more in the range of 90-ish because they skip chapters. They skip entire arcs.
I'm not surprised.
Be,
Considering what I've watched,
uh
I'm not
be,
surprised.
between chapters 3 and 4 and wait, not between 3 and 4, but along with episode 3 and 4 has an entire volume and a half each they skip.
Why?
And between chapters, I mean not chapter, episodes 19 and 20, 15 chapters are skipped. So, do you know when the base is blown up and they they need to escape? Oh, a year has passed.
I figured there's a lot missing in there.
No, 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 no. They spend a year in the shelter.
That's some bullshit. Although that would explain how the fuck the shelter was found so quickly in the anime.
Yes. And, oh, they found Ray's note, right?
Yeah.
No! In the manga, that is completely ignored.
Does Ray even write the note,
Yes,
or is it just never found?
it was never found.
Okay.
And from what I was reading, and this is going to be partially from what I found out about the manga before.
So before you get into that,
Uh-huh.
I will say about that note, it makes more sense to me that they would have found it because if they were trying to like track him or trace back to him with those like demon dogs, it wouldn't shock me that the scent would lead them there.
Either that or they thought didn't quite know what it meant.
Maybe, but I mean, I would assume that they have a map themselves that they could reference that
Yeah.
symbology to.
Oh, by the way, there was somebody living in the shelter in the manga that befriended them for a year and a half.
I I don't know how mad I should be about that character being forgotten or left out.
And do you know, Vilruk?
Vilk?
Vilk, yes.
The old dude?
Yeah. He is
Okay.
anime original.
I don't know whether that's good or bad.
Well, after I found out he was anime original, I'm like, okay, they crafted this part to cover up everything else.
To cover their asses.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's a lot of plot convenience. Of all the places they could end up being after that year, they're in a village where there's a guy that just so happens to have stumbled across a Minerva supporter that had just the right piece of attachment for the pen,
Yeah.
and it's like he decided to keep it, but he still ate the human. I,
But let's just get to the beginning before we complain about the ending. And oh boy, the ending!
We haven't even touched the ending yet. We're just talking about the middle at this point.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, you were going on about this being 11 episodes. That's because they put in a goddamn fucking recap.
like episode 17 and a half.
Yeah, or if we're talking season 2 language, 5.5.
Yeah, yeah. So this would be 12 episodes, but
And in a fucking series that's being rushed so hard, you're putting in a recap? Either their budget or their time frame was cut real hard at the studio for that. One of the two. And considering the way we have an ending, I feel like it's budget.
yeah, but you typically put recaps at the beginning of the season, not in the middle, recapping stuff that you just saw 2 weeks ago.
I forget which one we've seen, but we've had those though.
Really?
We have done series that have had those. I forget which ones. It wasn't super recent. Might have been like at the start of this last season of ours that we did.
I know
Maybe a little earlier, but we've had recap episodes.
Yeah, I know
because I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna skip this.
I know Evangelion had one in the middle of this season, and then a kind of second one near the tail end.
Mm-hmm.
But, so the kids are using a map to get to William Minerva, and they get attacked by a monster. And
should we point out that we're getting dropped in what feels like we've missed an episode already?
Actually,
you're telling me they're skipping chapters right at the start, aren't you?
No, according to the Promised Neverland fandom page, this supposedly takes place right after they escape. So, like, chapter.
Then they introduced it poorly because it feels like we've missed an episode.
Yeah, because when you said that, and after I watched it, I'm like, wait, how much did they skip in the beginning? They didn't skip anything. What the hell?
It should have been done better in both cases then, because it feels like, and maybe it's better in the manga, maybe it's a better transition, but it feels like there's an episode missing here.
Yeah. So they're saved by 2 people in the forest.
Well, they're not even. It's not just that they're getting chased by like wild demons that apparently exist, right?
Yeah, and
they're
and
also
hunters.
pursuers from the farm hunting them down.
Yeah. And Ray just goes, "Hey, you're demons." But
which is weird because every time they bring that up, right? Like, well, I shouldn't say every time, but like the first time they bring it up, was it Sanju? Sanju just kind of like, huh? Yeah, that's what you're calling us. Like that's not actually what they are.
We never find out what they are.
We don't know what they call themselves. They start to, like, they bring that up like that's that's not what we call ourselves, but okay. And then it's just they start referring to themselves as demons in general from there on. Like, you give us this weird doubt and then you just erase it like it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Just the fact that they're like, oh, these are friendly demons who are more like, oh, our religion says don't eat farm-raised children.
I feel like it's weird because the way what's her name?
Majika.
Majika.
Mujika, yeah.
The way Mujika talks about it, it's like you shouldn't eat humans at all. Sonju, though, after there's a parting, seems to be like, well, specifically it says we don't eat the farm-raised ones, but if they're wild... We should also point out that that's never brought up ever again.
Oh. Just that line. Just that line he said. And yesterday, I was out, I don't want to say out in public, but I just had a revelation about that line, and I said a little bit too loud, "Wait!" And I'm like, nothing.
Here's the best part, right?
Yes.
We get in those 5 episodes. Actually, 4 episodes. And in those 4 episodes, we get a montage,
Yes!
another montage, and then a year-long time skip. Like, what the hell?
This would have been better. Maybe up until they get into the city. Maybe a little bit into that arc as its own season. They could have fleshed out the year and a half from the manga into the anime.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, I'm not 100% sure how much 1-for-1, or in that case, like 3-for-1, they were doing for the anime, because I think it's like 39 chapters in 12 episodes, so maybe a little bit more than 3. If they would have kept that pace, they could have easily made this 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah?
But I was reading that since the manga is now over, apparently, and this is just all speculation and rumors, the studio didn't want people to lose interest in it, so they decided to finish it within the second season.
Oh, fuck off.
That's just speculation and theory, though.
I don't buy that for a second, because there's constantly anime that are running alongside their fucking mangas.
But what if the manga has ended?
I don't think that should matter. I really don't think it would matter.
Yeah, if it's as good quality as season one,
Uh,
people would love to keep watching it, even though the manga has ended.
mm-hmm. Not to mention to look in to see if there are any differences, which there are many in this case.
So Mujika and Sanjo teach the kids survival skills, which I
In
found,
a montage!
yep, like how to hunt birds.
Yep, they make a big deal, and I do understand why, out of Emma learning how to kill something, and then pointing out, like, oh, these are the flowers that were stabbed into your family that you saw that day, and just kind of like, yeah, okay, let's do it. Like, I feel like you should be explaining this religion a little bit more. Like, you need to pray to the gods, and that, but you, what gods? What there is a religion that you don't ever explain in this world.
Yeah, and I would have expected Emma to be a little bit more traumatized remembering the flower.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, flowers. And then when she sees them turn red, she's like, oh God, Connie!
Yeah, you'd think there's a bit more traumatizing stuff going on there. Like,
Maybe in the manga.
well, let's also not like point out that we've seen them hunt other things, right?
Yeah.
None of the other kids seem to have a reaction to the flower. Now, granted, I don't think they were there to see it, but still, they would have, I would assume, been told about it.
Maybe.
Plus, they don't have that visceral reaction to killing things either. Plus, let's also point out that when they cook like those fish tadpole things, they don't do it there.
The gooey.
Yeah.
We call it that because it's all gooey.
Yeah, they don't do anything to the gooey. We don't see that happen. Like,
Is it bad that I would want to know what a gooey tastes like?
probably some cross between a fish and a frog, I would guess.
I've never really had frog, but I'm be willing to try.
I almost did, because they were giving out, like, I think it was like deep fried frog legs or something,
Ooh.
that you could get at a fair I was at. But when I went to get them, they said that they had run out. So I'm like, oh, I wanted to try it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't get the chance. I was disappointed. Fuck me. So they learn survival skills. They're like, oh hey, here's the place, that we need to go using the map from the pen that they apparently figured out how to use, which, you know what, fine. Ray is smart and Emma's smart, and that's kind of been proven from the first season.
And take
Um,
passwords.
that take passwords, they were working that out in the first season, fine. That I can buy that. But the fact that, like, all of the other ones are figuring it out, I'm like, even the younger ones, I'm like, that seems a bit far-fetched. Also, doesn't the whole system fall apart if the children are too intelligent and figure out this shit? Like the farm system?
Maybe they
Which
were.
kind of gets pointed out later anyway.
Maybe they were book smart and not street smart.
Book smart but naive, which maybe, but even then.
Oh, and I just love Sanju explaining the world how, yes, this is Earth. And like 1,000 years ago, they decided to keep humans and demons separate. But it's
Which
like,
they don't explain any of that or how it was made.
no, because like, fucking New York City at the end!
See, that's the part that really upset me, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that point.
Okay! Yeah, but so apparently they're still on Earth, except it's populated by demons.
Also, I'd love to know how the Earth has been split in half.
Right.
Because that kind of seems to be the implication at first.
Yeah.
But then you need a portal to get to the human side.
Yeah, so is it like
Eh,
a parallel dimension?
maybe. But I mean, then why wouldn't they have smashed the gates before then during the war 1,000 years ago? Because I mean, like, you're in the human world. Humans are the dominant species. Even at back whatever time period that would have been, all you'd have to do is get rid of the gates, and then the demons are sealed off in their own little world.
So yeah, as they're hunting, they get attacked again, and Ray leaves a note where to go to.
And that was before Sanju saved them.
Uh, yeah, so they find a shelter that's fully stocked with food. Granted, it's like old food, but
I was gonna say it wasn't full. There were apparently previous people there. It's kind of hinted at first when they're walking through, and there's like a tin of cookies sitting on the table that have rot, and like the shelves aren't packed, but there is some. Because you walk through and the scene is like kind of showing you them walking through like semi bare shelves.
yeah.
So I wouldn't say it was stocked. Not to mention at some point, and this is way more confusing to me, they come across what looks to be the diary of a previous person that has been here, and it almost says like one of them went to try and go to the human world, like she got tired of waiting or something, or he or whoever it was. But then on the wall, there's like scrapes of names and like calling for help and shit. Like someone was tortured in that room.
It was probably in the arc they skipped over.
Probably. Like the minute I saw that, I'm like, oh, they already know about this shelter if this shit is what's here. And then like the dog circling back on that note, which again, I still think that makes some sense because they would be trying to track Ray, and the scent would probably lead them right back to that section. And they'd be like, oh, if we already know about that place, these are the coordinates that have been written here. Check the map. Oh, that's where they are. And the
Uh,
montage that we then get with them in the shelter feels like it's maybe a week based on the dates that are written in that book.
yeah.
And you're telling me they were in there for like a year and a half.
With a man named Lucas.
Like an adult?
Uh, what year does this take? 2047, right?
Something like that, yes.
So he is about 29.
So an adult.
Yes.
I wonder if the diary and what was written in there was meant to be Lucas's, and he's the one that left.
Maybe.
Maybe that's meant to be the implication for those that read the manga.
Yeah. And apparently there was a place where another human escapee base called Goldie Pond. I
Mm.
think that was brought up in one line.
Here's another thing I'd like to ask, actually.
Yes.
How the fuck did Minerva build that secret base, that shelter, and nobody knew about it?
He had help from good demons who were part of the religion.
Yeah, but then you need to ask, how did he make the shelter itself? He'd have to use, like, unless there were good demons, like you said, which, based on what we know about Mujika and their shit, that's not likely. He'd have to use, like, dynamite to blow the fucking hole in the ground to build the shelter in, or drills or something. Not to mention, like, all the supplies he'd need to get for it, which he'd get from where?
It's probably explained in the manga.
Probably explained better, at least, as to how he would get that shit. Because
Yeah.
even being, like, what they call the gatekeeper and probably one of the highest ranked humans in the demon world, I would think they would still want to observe and make sure they know where shit's going.
So, within 7 days, or a year and a half in the manga, the base is found. And they all need to escape because shit's getting blown up.
Oh yeah, human soldiers that are apparently still working for the demons are coming in to blow them up. Also, I should point out this is the only time we see those human soldiers.
Yeah?
They never show up again.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean because they get murdered by a wild giant demon. I mean, like, no other soldiers that are human show up.
Nope, 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 nope.
That little facet is just gone.
So we get into a town of demons that they've been living in for who knows how long.
On the outskirts in an abandoned temple.
Yeah, and this luckily blind demon comes and helps them.
Yeah, he thinks they're regular demons. He leaves some offerings at the plate for the old god or whatever, and they just take them and eat them.
Yeah, it's like, hey, this is a holy place. You kids shouldn't hang around here.
It's an evil temple. You should leave. It's bad luck.
Yet I'm making offerings here in this evil temple.
Yep. Was that a temple to Mujika?
Maybe.
Because it was like a purple-haired demon altar thing.
Maybe by saying this is an evil temple.
Yeah, and they're referring to, like, the evil blood child, which is a name that she has. Which
Why?
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, why do they call her that?
The only thing I can think of, and this is me just wildly speculating based on what little information we have, is that it's probably a propaganda thing. Because from what we learn, the nobility and the queen or the royalty or whatever they are have essentially been like, no, we're gonna rule the world through capitalism by limiting the supply of humans as food.
Yeah. And like the nobility gets all the top quality children.
All the best stuff. You know, and we'll put the little scraps out to the rest of them, I guess. Maybe. I'm just sitting here looking at that, being like, okay, so apparently at some point, like, I forget how long ago they said it was. It was at least a few hundred years, like 700, I want to say.
Yeah.
Apparently, Muchika at one point must have tried to, like, give people her blood, which would then allow them to just not have... Oh god. So I've got to go into depth here to make this make any sense.
Breathe,
So
breathe.
human or demons essentially become what they eat, right? To
Yes.
one degree or another. The reason they eat human brains is because they like to keep a human form and a human level of intelligence.
Why?
I mean, do you want to go back to being a wild animal once you have sentience?
Okay.
That at least I can be like, all right, makes sense. Now, the farms are then there in place and used to then limit to them on what they can get their hold on. Because if they don't have it, they start degenerating back into the wild beast that they I assume, originally were.
Yes.
And then, God, like I've had to go back so far now. I'm starting to forget what my original point was. Right. Now I remember. Mujika, like 700 years ago, I guess, tried to put a stop to this by like giving people her blood, which would then stop them from degenerating and no longer require them to need human flesh anymore, or brains, or what have you. Nobility wasn't happy about that, slaughtered everyone that had that, supposedly including Mujika, and kept the blood for themselves. So now I can only imagine that the reason that they're eating humans at all is just because it tastes real good.
I'm not too sure, like, how, if like, you tear out the heart, it can't be regenerated because, old man demon just rips off his arm and it regenerates.
Oh yeah, that was the fun part when we got to episode 9, and I'm just sitting there like, wait, they can just do this?
So, like, how can you slaughter, like,
I have to assume that it's like a zombie almost, where it's like you need to destroy the brain or the heart or something very vital that can't regenerate
Oh,
just
okay.
fine. That would be my assumption.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was kind of half going with.
Yeah, I that is the only thing I can think of. It needs to be a kill shot through the heart or through the brain in order for them to not just straight up regenerate. And I'm not talking like, Piccolo from DBZ, or it's like a lot of effort to do. No, it just happens and it's like, whatever.
Yeah, at least Deadpool has a little bit of struggle growing back a limb. Old guy is just
There's
like,
an entire scene of him having baby legs.
or the baby hand.
Yeah?
Yeah, but the guy just rips off his arm like 5 seconds later. Maybe not even, like, poof, it just pops back.
Yeah, like Deadpool, it takes some time, a little bit of effort. In the case of Piccolo, you can see it wipes him out. Like, he gets real tired regenerating something that way.
Yeah, but old guy's like, oh, I ripped my arm off. Pop.
It's back. Anju does the same thing. That was when we first saw it. It's him just ripping off his arm and tossing it to like a big degenerated demon, and it just spawns right back. And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah!
What is this? No, you could have done this the entire time.
Mm. Okay. No. I'm going to hold off just a little bit more.
Let's rewind a bit because we've jumped ahead.
Yes.
So Norman's alive, which I think we pointed out in season 1. There's no corpse, therefore he's probably alive.
Except we thought he was going to be breeding purposes.
We thought he would have been a breeder. Yes, he would have been used as a breeding thing.
But no. It seems that in what was way too short of a flashback,
like 8 minutes, it felt like
5.
It was less. So here's the thing. Norman's back. We have this big meeting on the next, he's revealed to be back at the end of episode 5. We have our flashback episode. Who gives a shit? We go to episode 6, and it's like, here's where I've been doing this whole time, and I'm just going to sit here flapping my lips telling you, not showing you anything, and telling you what we're gonna do.
Oh, just one thing, and they may have gone far deeper into this in the manga, but Zazie, the mute guy with swords on his back. Do
The guy
you
with
want
the
to
paper
guess?
bag on his head?
Yeah, do you want to guess how old he is?
I have no fucking idea.
5! According to manga canon, he is 5.
I assume he was experimented on as far as how quickly can we grow someone's body? Like, in the context of what the Lambda, which is the place where Norman was shipped off to, in the case of what they were trying to do,
Yeah?
which is essentially just get rid of the whole Gracefield camp idea or house idea altogether and just speed up mass production.
Factory farms.
Yeah, it makes at least some sense in that case where it's like, all right, how quickly can we grow someone physically and mentally at the same time?
Yeah?
Like in Norman's case at least, it's like, well, how far can we push it to be smart with the drugs that we're shipping out to them? I don't know what Barbara or Vincent were done, like what they did with them. I know that they must have done something to Vincent's brain because he's got the scars.
Yeah?
I have no idea what they were testing Barbara on. Durability, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe.
There's not a lot gone into on what she went through.
Because I was looking at her and, she does have enhanced strength, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, she can break a table just by, like, smashing it with her foot.
I mean, that either says a lot about her or a lot about how chintzy the table is.
Okay, yeah.
That's not a good scale to guess with.
Just from the manga, it is also hinted at that she almost destroyed other things in the hideout.
Okay,
So
so fair. She's supposed to have some kind of enhanced strength. I don't know if that's something they tried to do. It seems like a dumb idea, or
maybe
if it was a side effect.
maybe like enhanced muscle to maybe for like more flavor in the arms. I don't know.
Maybe, but I mean, aren't they trying to satiate the ones that want like the super smart brains more than anyone else?
I don't know.
I don't know. I just feel like it's not very clear what her background is. Actually, speaking of her, did she remind you of anyone?
Mordred?
She's got a Mordred fashion sense.
Yeah.
She's got like the shortcut coat, the short jean shorts, the like ankle high boots. You even got the ponytail. It's just off to the side instead.
Yeah. Now that you said, I'm like, oh yeah.
That is a Mordred fashion sense. Then what happens? Yeah, Norman's back. We get an episode of him blah blah blahing. We get an episode of Emma being him hawing and being like, well, I don't want to eradicate the demons and blah blah blah. Which would have made a lot more sense if we had a lot more character development between her and other demons.
Which they probably did in the manga.
Because all we've got are Sanju and Mujika, and to like a much lesser degree, the old man. Like he didn't even get a montage. He got like maybe a 3-minute sequence.
And granted, I was writing this note as I was when it came up at first. And I know, like, intelligence and all, but Emma doesn't want to hurt them because they have names and they have families. And my note says, well, if they devolve, they won't have names or families anymore. They won't realize that. But then came the next episode where they were all devolving in chunks and being tortured by, like, what are you doing, mommy? No, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought that if everybody devolves at once, it won't really matter that they had names because.
I mean, you say that, but it's also the knowledge of the fact that that's a thing. Like, from her perspective. I get the idea. I do. It's executed real shittily.
Yeah, yeah. But, so they have a plan to save all the demons with Mujika's blood, which takes me back to my slightly too loud revelation. Sanju was saying, yeah, let's have these humans go out in the wild and we can have some factory farmed humans again, or we have some wild human meat again. Oh, and then it's like, oh, I mean, we'll cure everybody so they won't need human meat anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, wait, so you just want to eat humans just for the hell of it and not because you're worried about devolving? And I'm like, that makes no sense compared to what you were just saying.
No, forget about that. He said it once. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, I'm just going to go along with your plan right now. Yay! Can you tell Emma is the protagonist?
Oh, so
I think Emma has way too much plot armor.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, oh, this is bad, Norman. Oh, I guess you're right, Emma. Oh, Sanju, you shouldn't do this. But Emma, I want to. No, Sanju. Oh, you.
so
you're right, Emma.
you're gonna like this because this show has the same problem Naruto has at the end.
Rushed or just bad writing?
It's what we like to call in the business the talk no jutsu.
Oh!
Where you talk people into being good people.
Oh, that! I've heard of Talk no Jutsu.
They were bad, but we can talk to them and they'll be good again.
Because didn't Sasuke become like a villain of an arc?
Multiple arcs.
Oh.
But okay. He's done a lot of horrible shit.
Because I know one of the final fights is against Sasuke.
Yes. Technically the final fight is against Sasuke.
After the I'm gonna defeat you by harming you to death?
Yep. It's after that.
What?
Look, man, we gotta settle these feelings, you know? This bromance. We gotta figure out how it works. It ends with both of them blowing each other's arms off and then being like, we're best buddies now.
As they're bleeding out on each other.
You think I'm kidding? That you literally hit the nail on the head. That literally is happening. There's laying there side by side. The two arms that have been blown off are on each other, are next to each other. So I think it's Naruto's left and Sasuke's right. And their blood is just like bleeding out from those stumps and mingling together. It's quite literally that.
Does Naruto get a replacement arm by the time Boruto goes around?
Yes.
Does
he gets like one of those like puppet arms.
So he doesn't like jutsu in like his flesh back to place.
Nope. There's no flesh to bring back. You'd have to have some kind of regeneration ability, which while he can heal, I don't think he's replacing entire body parts.
Okay, so it's like a good arm that he can like fully have control over, right?
Yeah. Like if you remember the puppet dudes from there, it's essentially, from what I understand, one of those.
I don't think I got far enough. Like
you got to the tuning exams, right?
Is that after the bridge arc?
Yes. It's literally the one that follows almost right after that.
I think the bridge arc is where I started tailing off of it, so...
Yeah, there's a whole thing of, like, ninja that control puppets. So I'm pretty sure it's a puppet arm.
I may have seen that, but either that or that was the last or, like, right after I stopped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's one of those, and he's just controlling it with his chakra, really.
But Emma's talk
Same with Sasuke. So yes, there's talk no jutsu in this for literally all but maybe one person, which I thought for sure was gonna go the way of the talk no jutsu. I was more shocked it didn't. And even then, I understand why it didn't work. And I'm like, this should have happened to a lot of other people in Naruto. But yes, she's got way too much plot armor with the way that this manga or the anime has done it. Norman's got a plan. His plan is all like, I'm gonna kill all the demons and make them all degenerate, and then we can fight them because they won't be smart like us anymore.
Because I found this drug.
I found this, convenient drug in the off-screen flashback, and all that fun stuff. And I have my own pen that was given to me by a sympathizer, Smee, I think his name was.
Yes.
And I'm just like, that's real convenient. That's super convenient.
Hold on a minute.
Also, they do that like 2 or 3 episodes after Norman's introduced to be alive again, which is a horrible place to put that.
Hold on. Is that a Peter Pan reference? Smee?
I was trying to remember where that name was from that whole time, and yes, Smee is from Peter Pan.
How many?
The fact that it's called Promise Neverland, yeah.
How many other
shocked.
Peter Pan references might be hidden in here that just went over our heads?
Peter Rattray.
Was that their last name in the movie?
I'm specifically thinking that the fact that the name Peter is there is why. I don't know if Rattray has anything to do with Peter Pan. Or if that was maybe Peter's last name originally. I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I'm kind of surprised we didn't hear anything about a hook or an alligator.
Yeah. Maybe there's an alligator demon
in the manga. We're gonna keep repeating this refrain.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's got a plan. 3 episodes in, we get that shitty flashback that doesn't explain enough in any way, shape, or form.
They should have had an entire episode about the flashback.
That's what I said, and it should have happened the minute you revealed that Norman was alive.
And not wait like 3 episodes.
Nope. Because all it did, literally the only thing that did for us was like tell us, oh hey, Norman might, not have long to live. And even then, it's not very clear until the very end of that flashback as to what was possibly the reason for that.
It also did something else.
Oh?
Piss us off.
You know what? Fair point. It would have been way better to make that, like, episode 6. And just follow up the fact of, like, oh shit, we know Norman's alive. Here's what he's been doing that whole time. Here's an entire episode of it.
Emma, I've been searching for you for so long. You have.
Really? You want to know the best part?
What?
How he talks about how he freed other farm people and stored them away in the forest somewhere?
Where in the forest?
I don't fucking know. All he says is tell us. But the best part, right? Here's the best part about it. They show us Isabella at this point and how apparently they're making her a grandmother. And it's after this point that we find out Norman's alive. And you wouldn't know what would have been a really cool idea?
Okay.
Making Norman a traitor. I thought as soon as I saw this, I'm like, oh, this motherfucker is totally changed sides, either willingly or unwillingly. He is working for the demons right now. I thought for sure that's what it was going to be. But no, we got that shitty backstory and dialogue about how, I managed to escape and all this and that. They didn't hurt me or nothing. They just made me take some pills. But other people got hurt. Oh, and then the entire time, he figures out how to concoct a drug that'll cause degeneration. Where he got the materials for this, because I highly doubt he was hauling it all off out of Lambda. Even if he did manage to get the information through, like, that pen or whatever that he gets from Smee.
Yeah.
The one that's never confirmed. I can assume that might be where he got it from. But 2, where the hell he actually got, like, the equipment to do that? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, maybe he
a lot of this comes down to where is this equipment coming from and how did it get there?
Yeah, maybe he got, like, all the recipe to make it, and like, he has, like, raids on other labs.
Yeah, but you'd think you would have heard about raids, though.
Say it with me now! Probably in the manga.
Then he makes a deal with Emma to be like, oh, you bring me Muchika because she'd fuck up my plans and I'm gonna kill her. And Emma's like, no, I'm going to bring her here and you're just going to not do your plan. And it's like,
Fine, but I'll do it in 5 days.
instead
You,
of 10.
yeah. I kind of like their little negotiation there.
I like that, but at the same time, I'm like, what is your end goal here, Emma? This isn't going to change anything. In fact, you're just giving him what he wants.
Because she's
And
Emma.
and then two, it took you 5 days to find them, but 1 day to get back.
Well, they were searching. They're like, nope, they're not there.
They were searching, but that map seemed a lot larger than what I think they meant it to be.
Well, did they come back on horses? Or like demon
They had
horses?
one horse, and even then, I don't think a horse would cut 1 day's journey, or cut a 5-day journey down to 1 day.
And Norman decides to start early.
I'm gonna do it anyway. Fuck you guys.
Oh, wait. No. What's going on?
I'm feeling bad. I got emotions. Oh my god. Norman, don't do it. Okay.
Yeah, like, and just hearing the grandpa demon say, who has a granddaughter named Emma for some
Of
reason.
course he does.
Like, they're demons.
Dude. This is Batman v Superman. This is Martha level writing here, right here, man.
Granted, I don't think they were created. They do both have a mother named Martha in mind.
But the way it's used, though, in that movie.
I have not seen it.
I have not seen it either, but I have heard people bitch, moan, and complain about that part of the writing specifically every time. Literally, it's at the point where I forget, one of them's gonna probably die from one more hit, whether that's Batman or Superman. I forget which one is which in this scenario. But he's like, someone, like, one of them starts whispering the name Martha, and he's like, "That's my mother's name." And that's what stops them from fighting, is that they have a mother that shares the same name.
Hey, that's my mother's name too. Let's be
literally. And then we get this shit, and I can't help but draw the same parallel of like, are you fucking kidding me?
Bullshit all around.
Oh, so yeah,
But
Norman gives up his plan. His buddies are like, oh my god. There's a point where Barbara's gonna smash in two little kids, like demon kids, and then she gets the flashback of like her being terrified in the fucking torture chamber.
And it's like, I can't do this. They're just children.
She never says that, but the emotional idea is there for sure.
Yeah, I was going for more of that.
And then it's like Vincent's given up this whole bitchy plot about like, what are we stopping for? Blah, blah, blah. And then at the end of that episode, it teases him being a traitor. And I'm like, and I didn't buy it for a second. I did not buy for a second he was turning traitor at all. Because I'm like, no, that's way too convenient of a plot to fuck with them. And try to change up the information. And then I'm just sitting there like, ain't no way. He ain't a traitor. That's not going to happen. They gave us that little bait and switch. That's what's going to happen here. And then my thought was, but there's no way they're going to buy that he's a traitor either. And then lo and behold, the next episode, immediately there's Norman standing by him as he's using the radio to transmit. Speaking of which, that's the only thing they ever get out of that shelter is a radio.
Yeah.
So the whole point of the shelter was just, hey, we got a radio now. That back to the point that we are at here, which is, why are they believing someone? Why is Rattree, the leader of the farms, being like, yeah, no, he's totally turning traitor on them. I believe every word he says.
Because he's an idiot.
Norman's like a fucking genius. He knows for a fact that, like, due to that flashback, none of, like, they've never been able to, like, tell how smart Norman is.
Yeah, like,
his intelligence is always off the scale.
We keep making these tests harder and harder, and
he keeps getting them perfect.
Yeah, it's like, call, Stephen Hawking. Well, no, this is 2047. Like, call whatever super genius on Earth and have him come here to make a test. What was that impossible test like the Koshiba Maru test from Star Trek that was
I
like
don't know.
I
I've not
think
watched enough Star Trek to know.
it was in the new movies.
I don't remember. I've only
But
watched that the one time in
yeah,
theaters.
but it was like it was impossible because it was not meant to be solved, but using like circular logic and like all these thinking way far outside of the box, Kirk manages to solve it. So why not give him like a impossible test that's not meant to be solved and see how he solves it?
Yeah, decent enough idea. But no, it's can't do that. Anyway, you know that Norman's intelligence has yet to be measured in any feasible fashion, right? You're gonna believe someone turned traitor on him, and either A, he doesn't know, or B, he's not the one behind it. Really?
Yeah. Like, he outed Ray in season one.
Mm-hmm. I'm sitting here just being like, what the shit? You're
Uh,
that fucking dumb, even though you've been watching him for actually we don't even know how long he was in Lambda before he got out. I don't think we ever got a time frame for that.
yeah. If they do put them in the when you're 12, instead of being eaten, you ship to Lambda, he's probably in there for like 6 years. I think I read he was 18.
Who? Are we
Um,
talking Norman?
no. No, no, no. Shit, blanking. Scarhead guy. Crap.
Vincent.
Vincent, thank you. Since he was the one that supposedly was the traitor.
Yeah, but even then, like the idea is Norman's the one in charge here, or at least Norman's the smart one, and he's obviously with this group.
Right.
You really think Norman, for however long he was in there that you were studying him, based on what you would know, you really don't think he would have planned this kind of a thing? You're
Well,
taking the risk that this so-called traitor is actually a traitor.
maybe since the 7 years, six, 7, he knew Vincent, maybe that seemed more Vincent-esque behavior, but it's probably explained better in the manga.
But again, you don't think it wasn't like you know that Norman can be manipulative. You've seen that it was his. You probably know that it was his plan that helped the others get out originally. Like he's smart. You know for a fact he's probably the one that planned everything. Hell, here's the fun part, right? I forgot about this. They don't show us how the fuck he set up Lambda to fail, or how he was able to get any of the things he needed to make the explosives,
Yeah.
nor how they were placed. All we know and can assume at least is that like the king on the chessboard that he picks up is somehow the switch to trigger everything to explode.
Huh.
Like we just get the dialogue as he's like walking along, like the narration from Norman himself being like, "I can get explosives. All I have and like this and that and such. All I need to do is get the trigger." We don't even know if he knew about Smee before Smee was dying from the explosions.
This sucks. This just sucks.
But yeah, we get new plan. Cause you know Norman's back. He's being a good boy now. We've tricked the others. Our plan is we're gonna bring in hot air balloons.
Hot air balloons! The fastest of all air transportation.
How the fuck they got that together, I don't know.
And how so many?
I have no idea. Also, sure was lucky none of those spears, because apparently they don't have guns. None of the spears that the demons were, set up to throw didn't hit the ones with, like, Barbara and the others in them.
Well, they were a little bit in the back, so the demons would
Doesn't mean they wouldn't have been targeted.
Yeah, the demons would hit the ones in the front first and capture all the children in the front first before hitting the ones in the back, because if they don't go after the ones in the front first, the children might escape.
But you think they'd have enough of them to fire off at all of them?
You think they would carry that many spears?
I would think they'd be using their human grunts to fire off guns at the fucking balloons too, wouldn't I?
But don't you know, bullets can't pierce hot air balloons. Only spears can do that.
Oh my fucking god.
Ugh.
Let's also point out that the plan isn't exactly that great because apparently they don't send any balloons to where their original house was, like Farm 3,
Yeah.
which is pretty damn obvious that that's where they're at because there's no fires there because, you know, the explosive laden ones are causing fires everywhere. Not to mention, where are the demons that were supposed to be in that area taking care of the balloons there?
Well, they're taking care of the balloons.
But shouldn't there be explosives then if they were taking care of the balloons?
No.
We get the camera shot and it's the only section that's not on fire. Anyway, they go down, they get in, because they have that fancy pen that gave them the outline of. We mentioned this earlier. Fucking old man has a goddamn pen thing and blah blah blah. It's fucking stupid. They get the entire diagram of how like the innards of the headquarters is set up. They also get apparently the cure to the drug that Norman and the others have been taking, which I find fucking galling because A, how old was that again? When did he find that person and eat him? How up to date is that formula? And are you sure that that hasn't changed since?
Yeah.
The place is meant for experimentation. You think that they would have kept the same drug cocktail there for them to drink, like to eat every time? Like since you got away or whatever? I don't think so. Anyway, the layout they have, that at least I could kind of understand being the same. As long as it wasn't from like 100 years ago or something
And it
stupid.
seems that the portal to the human world is right under where they used to live. Farm
The
3.
only one, because they've destroyed all the others. Yeah, they got the info over the radio about how the others are going to be shipped out. So they're all going back to the farm, which is what's leading us to these events. Turns out it was a trap because Vincent supposedly betrayed them and leaked information and blah blah blah, but it's actually all part of the real plan. Because Ratchery's an idiot and just buys whatever's told to him. They all go in, get the kids. In fact, here's this one I thought was fun, where they like infiltrated like the groups of kids by sending in some of the younger ones dressed up as if they're being shipped out.
Yeah.
That I thought was a cool idea. And then because Vincent and some of the others managed to hack in, the security measures all get fucked with to the point where the kids are allowed to run free toward the center, and the ones that have infiltrated are guiding them towards where Emma is.
Yeah.
Here's the part I thought was really dumb. Vincent starting to be an asshole and being like, you thought I would ever betray you and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you fucking idiot. You could have still used this. This would have still been a very good thing for you to play on them.
Yes, like, hey, what are you doing, everybody?
Yeah, like being a cock tease and being like, fucking Norman found out and I had to change things. Like, in a worst case scenario, you could have still used him as a potential mole as another trump card to play.
Yeah.
They get to the center and they're like, we're going to take the elevator down. And then the elevator doesn't work. And then Ratchet comes out and is just laughing his head off like, aha, you stupid fools. And all the sisters are there with their machine guns being like, we're going to shoot you and you're not going to move. Drop all your weapons. And then you have
Isabella come out.
Well, you have the demons getting controlled again, which is why the elevator didn't go down.
Mm-hmm.
You have Isabella come out, and it's like, well, I'm going to stand with the children, because when all the power went out, it deactivated the shit in our chests. And how are you sure of that?
Do you want to know something about Isabella?
Go on.
During that arc, she's killed by a demon in the manga.
That makes way more sense. Then we also point out that they're like, oh man, we're gonna bring in the other demons as reinforcements. You guys are fucked. I don't give a shit what you weapons you got with the sisters and all that. And then all of a sudden, oh my god, the civilians are attacking! And I'm just sitting here like, of fucking course. They could get here that quickly.
Yeah.
Holy shit. And the civilians are keeping us from getting the reinforcements in. And oh man, Rattree, come live with us. Come be free with us. Then we get the flashback for Rattree of him killing his own brother, who looks suspiciously like Norman, I'll point out.
Yeah. So maybe, and I'm just speculating here, and again, for like the 12th time, it's probably brought up in the manga, but maybe Norman's his son.
Or brother, potentially.
Maybe.
Half-brother, maybe? I'm not sure how they do the whole breeding process. It could be half-brother. It could have been Peter's father that, sired him or whatever.
Yeah.
With whomever, probably one of the sisters. But yeah, they look too similar to not be like, there's a connection there, and I refuse to believe there's not.
Yeah.
And then Ratchee's just like, I've done too much terrible shit, and I can't keep continuing wearing a mat, so I'm gonna fucking suicide myself.
And Emma's there like, hey, don't do that. Hey, don't die. We're gonna be friends.
Talking about jutsu didn't work? Oh no! Like, fuck me. So it ends off with them sending all of the other kids, other than Emma, Norman, and Ray, off to the human world.
And the Lambda people.
The Lambda 3 stay behind as well. Sending them off to the human world. And they're like, we'll wait as long as it takes for you to come back, which I'm going to guess is like 6 years or so based on what we see at the very end.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 6 to 10 years.
I know it's a lot less than 10. Let me just pull it up here. Well, in the manga, this series starts in 2045, and the final scene is in 2049. So, if we're counting...
It's like 5 years-ish.
If we're counting in the time skip that happened mid this season, and going by anime canon here, it's about 3 years that she's...
Actually, I lie. Vincent went along.
Oh.
Vincent went with them. There's a scene near the end of him being there in like a doctor's office.
Mm-hmm.
The other 3 though stayed behind.
So I'm not too sure, since the anime ends with a montage!
It ends with a PowerPoint montage. Alright, it's a slideshow.
And that covers, like, I would say, so many story arcs.
Let's point out, alright, before we start jumping into that, where the fuck does that door open to? Because it seems to be just, like, the middle of the fucking city somewhere. Or
New
like...
York City!
No. I think it opens up somewhere at, like, the Statue of Liberty or something. Because it seems like they're looking out on the skitty skyline from there.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wait, that door wouldn't have been in, like, a protected specific area with, like, a fucking military base around it?
No!
It's just out in the open? Fuck off, it's out in the open. There's no way that would happen. And there's this whole thing about, like, the human world just might not accept you, you don't know, and this and that. And then, like, we get a slideshow of them just being, like, there with open arms taken in. And I'm just like, what the shit?
Hey, welcome to New York!
Like, I'm at that point, and I'm leafing through this montage now, right? And we're seeing, like, people run. We get to see fucking Don and Phil on a bus. Don's looking at a phone, and I'm just like, man, he adapted real quick to what a phone is.
Hold on. I was just about to say, welcome to New York. Do you want to try one of our famous bagels? Oh, I've never had a bagel.
What's a cream cheese?
Do you have gooey?
It's a gooey. Like, you get the kids playing for a bit, a little bit of Isabella in there, kids going off on a bus to school. Sorry, I'm literally playing through the montage now just to see it. Birthday cakes. You got Phil and Dawn on a bus. What else we got here?
So
yeah, there's Vincent sitting there playing chess with somebody in a doctor's chair, and he's got on a doctor's outfit.
So who do they live with now? Since there's, like, I'm going to say roughly 100, maybe even 200 kids that are now in New York. Do they live with all the mothers who have basically adopted them, or do they
I
have?
would assume they stick with the sisters to a certain degree. Yeah, it looks like also Isabella has a child again.
Ah, okay, okay.
Kind of looks like that. I assume that's her. It kind of looks like her, but we don't know who the father is. We just get the back shot of like some guy in a suit. We get like what looks like Gilda looking up at a starry sky with a mug of stuff in her hand. Oh yeah, then we get back to the demon world and we get to see like the others going on a hike on some mountains. Let's see. Then what? Of course, buffering. Buffering's always fun. That's great. Love that. Hey, there we go. Back in the forest again for some reason. Uh, I'm guessing this is them meeting up with a bunch of the kids that Norman had hidden away. Because there's like Norman embracing someone and others embracing each other. What looks to be them camping out, like the group that stayed behind camping out. Then we get to see a fucking one-eyed dragon and some monk demon sitting there, and you're not going to tell me what this is?
Pause it, pause it, because I do know about this.
On a fucking lake?
No, I assume, and because I was just reading a little bit about the manga, that is the, like, god of the demon world that can grant promises. And that is Emma making a new promise to the god.
That's way too fucking long and way too much to just ignore like this. Fuck off. Fucking slideshow bullshit.
And Mujika becoming queen of the demons.
Well, there's another one here where they're like talking to some old monkey demon, it looks like. It's hard to tell because he's like, you only see like his what looks to be the edge of his nose and his mouth, and he's got a hood on. I have no idea who this is, but it's Sanju and Mujika talking to him. I have no idea who this guy is. Alright, then we're looking out over what is probably the demon capital with the queen or whatever in there.
And Mujika becoming the new queen.
There's some kind of war because we get to see like a whole bunch of swords and shit laying stabbed into the ground, and then yes, we get to the whole Mujika becoming queen. And I guess, I don't know, that might be the monkey dude. He's got it on a different attire, but he still has the weird ponytail at the back end.
I do know there is a I don't want to say like final boss because I don't know how big this character is, but I do know there is a fight against other demons that I don't, that are trying to stop them from making the promise, or like after the promise is made, this demon's like, I don't want to follow the promise, I'm going to rebel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I did hear there is a pretty significant demon that goes up against them that they fight for like several chapters.
Which doesn't seem to be touched on at all here. Even in this
No!
fucking flashback, like, slideshow bullshit. We get what looks to be Mujika and Emma saying goodbye to each other. Hands clasped, foreheads against each other. Almost in what some might say is a lover's embrace to a degree.
Aww.
And then we get the flash forward to when these fucking idiots finally come back. And we actually get animation again. With Phil, who looks like he's 12, 13, somewhere in there. And all the others are older now.
Again, in the manga, he's supposed to be like 9. Wait, how old was he in the beginning? Like 5? 4?
6. He was 6 when they left. He was, it was like a year and a half that they were gone.
Okay, yes, so then
7.
He should be about 12 then.
So 12, 13, because that's another 5-year time skip between them going to the human world and Emma coming back to the human world.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd be 12, 13, somewhere in there.
And saying like, Emma, it's you!
Oh my god, Emma's back. How's your demon girlfriend? I'm sorry, that specific scene, that image, makes it feel that way. But yeah, everyone's back. None of them look any different in the 5-year time skip. Other than maybe Norman, but he might not be drawn well here. Like he looks thinner, but that's about it. Meanwhile, we had like not drastic changes, but enough changes in the 1 year time skip that we got earlier.
Oh, and by the way, I'm just looking at manga Emma in 2045, 2046, and 2047. Her Agohe, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, her big hair, it seemed to grow each year. A Hoge, yeah, a Hoge, I believe. Yeah,
Yeah.
because just the shot of her in 2047 and 2045, it just seems to be a lot bigger. 2049, it's cut off in the image, but I was just like, that is kind of hilarious that as she's growing, her hair grows too.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
But I'm sitting here and like this is the ending. This is what you gave us. A fucking slideshow.
I was
Now
mad.
remember I said, right, from what I recall from what I heard about this, that it's a very final ending.
Yes.
This is definitely a final ending. Unless this gets like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood treatment, this is never gonna get done again.
Right.
Now, if this was rushed so we could do a Full Metal Alchemist, rework, great. If it's not, this is horrible dog shit. For no reason other than to piss everyone off.
Is that a movie or not? Because I know there was a. It was because it already came out, but a live action Promised Neverland that was Japanese. So I don't know if it was part of it just covering like one of the arcs.
Mm-hmm.
The only bad part is when I was reading about it, I think during the first season, they aged everybody up 3 or 4 years.
Oh, so they were a lot younger then, huh?
No, older. Aged them
Older.
up. So like Emma was 16.
Oh, in the live action thing.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, so like
That's
and
probably just for actors' sake.
yeah, and that just made me go, but when they're 16, wouldn't they start to realize it now?
Sooner, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of a plot hole there.
Yeah. I,
Huh.
I just. Ugh. Like, this is just so much garbage. It is so. So I wanted to ask you this at the start. I didn't get the chance because I
Yes.
forgot. Is it better or worse than Darling in the Franxx? Because when I was looking at it, I said it was terrible. I
I'm
could
going
not
to
recommend this to anyone, even if the first 2/3 were, good and or decent.
I'm going to say this is worse than Darling in the Franxx because I enjoyed Darling in the Franxx. Even when it got into the bullshit we're going to space type thing, I still kind of enjoyed it, even though I felt the story was going in a different direction. This, I honestly tried to look past all the flaws, but there are too many flaws even for me that I'm just like, wait, you're skipping over this. Wait, just I think I disliked it more when I found out just how much they skipped.
Now let me ask this. Let's cut out the whole slideshow sequence. Would you still be as mad? And
Like,
I'm asking this because I'm getting angry at this in general, just because it's something that was good that was turned into mushy garbage. You
like,
have a way higher tolerance level for this garbage.
like if they cut out the slideshow and left it open for a potential season 3.
Yes.
Yes, I would have then.
You would how would you compare it to Darling in the Franxx then? If that was the case.
I would still say worse than Darling in the Franxx due to the completely rushed pacing, but because they left a thing open for more season 2. Okay, maybe season 3 will be better paced and we can get a definitive ending. But because they end with a slideshow that supposedly takes place over like so much manga that gets reduced to 2 minutes maybe, and I'm like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
So if this was better paced, maybe if they would have stretched this out into 3 more seasons, I would have enjoyed it. But this is way too rushed. They skip over way too much to be enjoyable. Like, I honestly tried to like this because season 1 was amazing.
And it's because they took their time and built it up.
Yeah.
And whoever took over this, I don't know if it was a director, I don't know if it was someone from higher up that said, nope, you got to wrap it up here. It was completely gutted in any way, shape, or form of something that could be resembling good.
Would you even suggest season 1 anymore?
I would totally suggest season 1, and I would tell them never to watch season 2. It doesn't exist.
But I found another line. No, it doesn't exist.
Look, I would literally be like, I put a hand on the shoulder, I'd be like, look, I'm doing this for your own good. It doesn't exist.
Your eye slowly twitching.
Literally, yes. Maybe you see a little bit of like steam coming out of the ear as the background anger starts rising as I remember shit.
And with medicine in the background.
Yeah, I got like the squinted shut eyes, the smile on my face, but it's like the anger menacing building in the back.
Yeah,
with the purple background with the kanji and everything.
Yeah. Trust me, it doesn't exist.
Like all the killing intent I can fucking muster to prove, like, make the point. Like not even directed at the person asking, but directed at the idea of the existence of season 2.
Oh, and the movie just seems to cover the escape arc. So
still the good idea.
Yeah.
The only good part that exists right now in anything other than the manga. We screamed long enough about this.
Yeah. Did you take my advice and keep a bottle of aspirin by your side just in case?
I calmed down in a different way by going into the mind-numbing fucking grinding of Digimon.
Okay.
So at least I did something that would keep me from thinking.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I probably would have punched a hole in the wall.
You said, like, what's the point of spoiler? Was that like Lambda?
No, I was asking what was the point of the shelter.
Oh, the shelter. Yeah.
Literally all they got was the radio. And the only thing that ever did for them was allow them to either, like, to tip them off about the shipping and then to make Vincent a traitor.
Yeah.
But you're telling me they couldn't have, like... Literally, the shelter was pointless. All it did was give them a radio, and they could have gotten that just about anywhere, I would think.
So, before we just, like, explode with anger, I think we should wrap it up here.
Look, I feel exhausted. What I'll probably do once I simmer down a bit more is take a look at Mother's Basement's mention about season 2. Because, fuck me, I remember he was the one that tipped me off as to how this goes bad.
Will you read the manga at all?
Maybe. It's gonna be a little bit if I do that, though. Just because of how hard fucking season 2 really pisses you off.
Yeah.
I need some time to just let that mellow before I look at the manga.
Yeah, that's going on my long list of reading material,
Along with JoJo Part 7.
which I'm, like, not really started yet. Yeah, I want to, but I keep going, like, oh, there's.
Oh, fuck me. That's right. So hold on. Something a little light quick before we
Okay,
end this. So I'm hopping back to Digimon for a second, right?
yes.
So one of the tamer, like one of the NPC types you can run into is like this nerdy kid who's got like a mailman's bag, like a messenger bag.
Okay,
He's got on like a pair of jeans, some boots, and he's got like a flannel looking polo shirt on, right, and
okay.
glasses. When you fight him, like from a tamer to tamer fight, right? He's doing the Jonathan Joestar pose. Literally hand in front of the face. It's the Jonathan Joestar pose. And I'm sitting there like, I know this pose. What JoJo is this? I know this pose. And it hit me the other night. I'm like, it's fucking Jonathan.
Well, we needed a good laugh after all the rage we went through, but on the next episode, time is beginning to loop again. Even though they thought it was over, they keep getting pulled in.
Mm.
So, we'll catch you then, and Ryan will be with us.
Yay.
Yay.